WestWind 3480, exit powder on a heading of 050, after powder descend and maintain 13,000.
Roger, sir. Can you give me the frequency again, or correction, the heading?
Roger, 3480, exit powder on a heading of 050 and down to 13,000.
Roger, sir. Exiting powder 050 down to 13,000. WestWind 3480.
Hi and welcome back to video 3. By this point, we're assuming that you have downloaded the VATSIM communications client and ATC online viewer software, and that you have completed and received your account password or reactivated your VATSIM account. If you have not done either of these things, you should go back to video 2 and accomplish the download, installs, and activation before proceeding. In moving on with video 3, we will cover the following items. They are: number 1, what are and how to use airport diagrams, VFR sectionals, high-low en route charts, terminal charts, and instrument approach procedures. Number 2, location of charts, finding the charts that you will need on VATSIM. Number 3, on VATSIM, demonstrating how to connect to VATSIM. And number 4, use of and proper transponder codes for VATSIM. We are now going to start moving into the flying side of the VATSIM P1 rating. This training is not a training program on how to fly a specific airframe, as opposed to how to fly it on the VATSIM network. Actual airframe operations are beyond the scope of this training series and are covered in detail on YouTube and the internet. It is highly recommended that you build a library of handbooks for more in-depth reading. The Federal Aviation Administration offers all manuals and handbooks in PDF format, and they are available for you to download free of charge at https://www.faa.gov, regulations, policies, handbooks, manuals, aviation. These handbooks and manuals will provide you with detailed and in-depth reading, guaranteed to cure any case of insomnia without the expense of medication. These are the sources of all aeronautical information in one place. VATSIM flying operations will require that you have maps and charts, as well as having a basic understanding of how to use them. Information on any map and chart, as well as the symbols that can be found on them, can be found in the Flight Navigator's Handbook. To begin, as with all things, there is vocabulary that you must understand. We will need to understand the following terms: VOR, Very High Frequency Omnidirectional Range, a ground-based radio navigation system; GPS, Global Positioning System, a space-based navigation system with worldwide coverage; FMC/FMS, Flight Management System, an in-aircraft based master flight computer for onboard systems management and navigation; ILS, Instrument Landing System, a ground and in-air based system allowing precision approaches for landing; VFR out the window, VFR on top, VFR flight operations permitted by ATC when IFR pilots can fly via VFR conditions. In Europe, VFR out the window is used. VFR on top is used in the United States. In addition, we will also be introducing the following charts. These are the VFR sectional map, a sectional; the high-low en route chart, known as an en route; terminal area charts, known as TAC charts; and IAPs, instrument approach plates, or approach charts and plates. VATSIM requires that you describe and understand what these charts are and where to find them, as well as understanding the symbols that appear on them. To begin, let's take a look at examples of maps and charts that you can use when you fly on VATSIM. Before we show examples of maps and charts, we need to explain where to get them. There are several options available to you. There are add-ons that are available to you, as well as internet solutions. One add-on that you can use is SimPlates Ultra. As an add-on, it does cost money. The one-time fee of $40 US, while expensive, does provide a worldwide solution in most cases for your chart needs. Charts are updated by the publisher on a quarterly basis and delivered to you via your internet connection. It is a one-stop shop for most of your chart needs, and it is available in PDF format. Internet resources include such sites as SkyVector. SkyVector is a free of charge and provides all charts and maps for the US and Europe. Chart availability in remote regions is spotty, but as a free resource, it is a source for charts. Each country or region that you fly around in has a government agency that has posted current charts. These charts may be available to the general public through a direct web search. European charts are available through the individual countries' aviation authorities. I've found charts for South American countries in this manner also. Free chart resources will require a search on your part to find them. I would strongly suggest or recommend that you keep a charts source list as you find them. Skyvector.com for US flyers provides all charts that you need and is the single best one-stop shop for all maps and charts. It provides a complete flight planning solution for those developing plans by hand. It provides weather data, charts, and tools to plan most VFR and IFR flights through the use of overlays over the charts. We start with the example of charts and maps that you may use while flying on VATSIM. We start on a VFR sectional chart with a legend. All symbols used on the sectional chart will be shown here. Actual paper sectionals are a front and back affair in that both sides of the physical paper will depict the part of the named sectional. I've selected the Los Angeles sectional because the example airport that we will reference is on this sectional chart. The FAA has a manual, the Aeronautical Chart User's Guide, that provides a single source for both VFR and IFR chart symbols. It is a great source while you learn or if you have a question later. Our symbol items that are on the map and chart are defined and shown in the map legend. The VOR is denoted on the chart as a pentagonal shaped figure with the dot in the center. A VOR DME or VOR with DME capability is denoted as a pentagonal shape with a square box around it. A VORTAC, a newer VOR DME combination with military usage. VORTACs are triangular shapes with the VORTAX point colored in. Most VORs in the United States today are VORTACs. All have a 3-letter identifier and broadcast a Morse code identifier every 15 seconds. Examples of VOR VORTAX or VOR DME on the sectional chart are Morro Bay VOR. It is a VORTAC. Looking on the map, there is a square box containing the name on top. On the second line, you have a frequency that would be tuned to in the navigational radios in the aircraft, the channel for military users, and a 3-letter identifier, and the Morse code tone to listen for to verify the correct frequency. Before using the signal and tracking, one must verify that the Morse code identifier is heard. The FAA deems the VOR unreliable if the Morse code identifier is not present. VFR sectional charts, usually drawn 1 to 500,000 scale, are large enough to be read by pilots during flight under visual flight rules. The chart must be current and must be in the aircraft with you by either physical or electronic means. Electronics may have or must have backup batteries or electrical power to be used in flight. Currency information is shown on the top of the cover page of the chart. Each chart is replaced on a 56-day cycle, and each chart has a unique cycle. In other words, not all charts are due on the expiration date shown. Only the specific chart is due. Another valuable tool for flight planning and tracking is a chart known as the high-low en route, or simply the en route chart. You notice very quickly that the chart has no topographical information, or that it is very limited. Both the high and low chart are similar in appearance and depict only navigation aids, waypoints, and aeronautical routes on them. Airports are depicted on the chart. Navigation aids such as VORs, Vortex, and NDBs. The main difference is that all airways are depicted on the chart, as well as compulsory and non-compulsory reporting points and fixes. As with all maps, a legend is present and should be consulted and used to check currency and gain understanding in what and how to fully use it. The high-low en route chart is the easiest tool to use to generate a flight plan for en route purposes, if you're doing it by hand. We will talk more about and demonstrate more on flight planning later. For now, we will introduce the high-low en route chart. Let's discuss terminal charts. Technically, there are two terminal charts. These are the VFR terminal area chart and the airport diagram. The VFR terminal area chart was piloted in the Los Angeles Class Bravo airspace at the turn of the 21st century. Its intent was to allow VFR pilots to traverse the Class Bravo airspace by defined specific VFR paths from north to south. The first route was the coastal route, which proved both highly successful and popular. VFR pilots now had a defined highway through the Class Bravo airspace from north to south, removing the need to fly far to the east before turning north or south. Today in the United States, the VFR terminal area chart program has been expanded with existing charts at many large airports. The count is currently 30, with one special VFR chart for the Grand Canyon. The chart also has a 56-day cycle. It should be noted that the map symbols on all of these maps are similar. This is true across all maps and charts used in aviation as a means of reducing confusion and misunderstanding. The airport diagram is a depiction of the runways and taxiways at a specific airport. It is intended to allow pilots to be able to navigate the airport environment at all airports. Originally designed as an aid, it has become required charts in the cockpit due to the high number of runway incursions in the past. Airport diagrams serve two purposes for flight simulation users. These are 1. Airport and taxi navigation, and 2. Ensuring matching airport layouts with your installed scenery. The idea of flight from one airport to another involves several processes that devolve into a flight. All flights have a departure, an en route, and an arrival part. How long each will depend on the distance flown. The best analogy that I've heard is the idea of you getting onto a freeway to travel to another town. You drive your car to the on-ramp of the freeway, or takeoff, enter the freeway, or departure, accelerating to high speed, the aviation equivalent of our en route, and exit off the freeway at your destination, our aviation arrival. You may be required to use a map or GPS to determine how to get to your specific destination on your car trip, and this is where aviation instrument procedure plates enter in. Instrument procedures that you will deal with include, but are not limited to, an airport diagram, layouts of your airports, already covered, the SID charts, the standard instrument departure chart that specifies the freeway on-ramp, star charts, the standard terminal arrival chart that defines the freeway off-ramp, and the ILS runway chart, the instrument landing system chart that defines the detailed landing information on runways. Based on your direction of travel, you either enter one way or the other and must have the correct on-ramp to be going in the proper direction. In aviation, the same idea for SIDS and stars prevail. SIDs may have several transitions depending on which direction you wish to travel in and what runway you will be using. There may not be a SID, which means that you must always look at the standard departure information for the airport you are departing first, then the SID if it exists. SIDs, stars, and airport diagrams become more complicated as the airports you fly at become larger. The process used when flying is to select your departure SID if one exists, using the standard departure if one does not. Welcome to the cockpit. We will go over the items needed to connect to VATSIM and discuss where and when you should connect. To begin, loading a flight in any of the flight simulators will place you on an active runway by default. VATSIM users need to be aware of this behavior up front. Loading up and spawning on an active runway is not advisable, as the potential for a collision between aircraft is very high. I want to apologize for any video issues with a multiple screen up front. To begin, you will need to determine when to open the communications client in your sim. Each person's implementation is different and may not be what is depicted in the video. We are assuming that you have installed the client and that you have a desktop shortcut in place. If not, you should install that software now. Once the installation has been completed, start the program from your desktop and the program should load and display your screen. The simulator will be needed or should be started before the vPilot client, as the client will need to link with and communicate with the simulator. First-time users will need to configure the software to connect to the VATSIM network. In Settings, click on and highlight Network. You must enter your VATSIM ID code, your VATSIM password, your full first name, a home airport, one that is close to your actual domicile, and a VATSIM server of your choice. This is not important, but it is required. When you have completed it, press OK, and this process is only required one time. When you first connect, press Connect, and you must set up your recent aircraft or whatever. You will notice that I have set up a WWA 3480 number with a specific aircraft. In this particular instance, I'm going to select the Cessna 172, and I have a WestWind call sign, the aircraft type, a CellCal code which may or may not be required, and connect and share mode can be enabled. And you press the connect button and that connects you to the WestWind or the VATSIM network. When you first connect, you will need to define your call sign and aircraft type. At WestWind, we are using the WestWind ID number with the prefix WWA. Aircraft types are available for any simulated aircraft available, but I will provide you with some of the most common aircraft. These are C-172 for the Cessna 172 Skyhawk, DH-2 for the de Havilland Beaver, the BE-58 for the Beechcraft Baron 58, the B-738, which is the Boeing 737-800 series, the B-744, which is the Boeing 747-400 series, as well as many others. vPilot will, unfortunately, remember all the connection strings that you place here. So if one has incorrect information in it, just enter a second one with the correction. In order to connect, just press the connection button on the bottom. If there are problems with the connection, they will be detailed in the message text box located here. As time progresses, you will get comfortable with the shorthand used to type. Always identify as a part of the message or who the part of the message is for. It is not much different from the real-world Unicom frequency, so identify. For example, if we are sitting at KREL, So if I were to taxi, I would type KRail traffic, taxi runway 27 via Echo and Alpha. The avionics in your aircraft must be on to transmit. Go ahead and hit return. Now, we didn't transmit because we were not connected. The normal Unicom frequency on VATSIM is 122.80. Other frequencies can be found in the controller and range panel located here. The Mode C option allows the user to enable transponder reporting that can be monitored by VATSIM controllers. Model transport or transponder operations can be toggled by this button, or it can be turned on in the aircraft's transponder in the aircraft itself. As a minimum, you need to understand how to operate the transponder in your aircraft. Some common transponder codes are 1200, which is the VFR flight default code, usually entered by the pilot as a part of the aircraft pre-flight checklist. 1202 is VFR glider specific operations. 2200 or 2200 is the VATSIM default IFR transponder code. 7500 is the hijack standard code. Please understand that you cannot use, or these cannot be done on VATSIM. 7600 lost communications transponder codes, and they can be assigned 7600 to 7677 by ATC. The Mayday standard transponder code is 7700 or 7700. 7700 through 7776 would be the standard Mayday transponder codes, and then 7777 would be a military interceptor code. The hijack situations are expressly forbidden on VATSIM. One must know that. Number 2, emergency codes are permitted with controller approval. And finally, 3, to use squawk code 7777, the member must be a VSOA associate, or must be the member of a VSOA association. In this video, we have covered the following subjects: what are and how to use airport diagrams, VFR sectional, high-low en route, terminal charts, and instrument approach procedures. Location of charts, finding charts that you will need for VATSIM. VATSIM, demonstrating how to connect to VATSIM. Use of and proper transponder codes for VATSIM. We showed examples of charts, maps, and symbols used on aeronautical charts, as well as describing the process by which to find them. We outlined payware add-on options, web-based applications, and the need for you to find resources on the internet. VATSIM also provides, through its facilities websites, a wealth of chart information that you can use also. We also demonstrated connecting to VATSIM using the vPilot client, as well as a functioning simulator session using VATSIM. All communications clients work and are configured the same as the vPilot application. We did not demonstrate older applications here, but there is ample internet and web-based content and knowledge that highlights the other applications. We also discussed common transponder codes used primarily in the United States. There are other common transponder codes that are utilized in Europe that pilots should check to use before flying in those regions. As we get into training and presenting the objectives of the VATSIM P1 rating, one must realize that this is an introductory rating. The information needed to get onto the VATSIM network and fly online is limited in scope. My hope is that you are progressing through this training. You are discovering that the number of questions that you have is growing. If this is the case, then please don't let it frustrate you. A pilot, even in the FSX community, should always be learning and seeking answers. My FAA primary evaluation pilot told me that my license was a license to learn. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in video 4.